gentleman who would wait for work every day on the side of the road. And he wondered what could be done, what support could be given to them. And so he connected with the Salvation Army officer in Rockland County, then Captain Mike Himes, to figure out how they could support this group. It was soon after that that the Saturday mobile canteen feeding program began. Jim continues to go out with the Salvation Army mobile kitchen every Saturday with a group of volunteers that's growing and growing. He'll tell you that as a group grows, not only does the service get better, but the food gets better too.
Amen.
Yeah. After a while, Jim began to build relationships of trust with the gentlemen who were coming to get the meal. Not only the gentlemen, but as the months would get warmer, the families would come out as well. A little over a year and a half ago, Jim came to us and said, what else can we do, because there's much more need. And so for the last year and a half, Jim has represented the Salvation Army in community meetings all around the country, all around the county, with different agencies to determine how else the Salvation Army can serve the growing immigrant community in Rockland County. Jim has proven himself an invaluable asset to the Salvation Army as he's bridged partnerships with various organizations that we've already mentioned. The Salvation Army is truly blessed to have a partner in ministry like Jim Waters. I'm going to invite Jim to come and join me. The Salvation Army's Others Award is the highest recognition the Salvation Army can bestow upon a non-member. Saying that, I think after 20 years, you've more than earned your uniform.
I got the blue.
Yes, you do. Just get to the shoulder pads. There you go. The award is in recognition of an extraordinary spirit of service towards others. It was inspired by a Christmas time telegram that was sent out at the turn of the century by the Salvation Army's founder, William Booth. Being short of funds, he was able to send a telegram that just had one word on it. And the word that he sent out to inspire the Salvation Army around the world was the word others. And so, Jim, it's my privilege today to recognize you and to share with you the Salvation Army's Others Award.
Good morning. Can you hear me okay back here? For words you've heard already, and I'll echo, I am humbled, I'm privileged, I'm honored. Honored in part because of who this organization is. This has been the highlight of my life. My wife Judy knows that for the last 20 years. I get so much more out of this program than I put into it. Because what have I learned, and you've heard these words already, how effective the Salvation Army is in helping folks that need their help. I'm wearing this pin, doing the most good. I got that from Joan Krause, who sits here, who was honored herself a few years ago for the time she's put in as an advisory board member, and I believe a chair of the advisory board. And I see in every way that this organization works, how effective they are. Politics don't get in the way. Bureaucracy does not get in the way. Different belief systems don't get in the way. The organization does what it needs to do to help people in the community. As Good Samaritan is trying to do as well, and being an asset to the community, throughout all these communities, I've seen it in the Army, and I've seen it in Spring Valley, which is where I work through the Corps. So I am honored, and I'll use the word blessing as well, as has been used that word several times. I am blessed to be here, blessed in a way that I've had in my adult life, I've had 5 major blessings. The first is my marriage to my wonderful wife, Judy. We'll celebrate 43 years in June. The birth of my 2 sons, Matthew and Christopher. Christopher is here sitting over with his mother. In fact, he's a former employee of Tom Zuggaby, and another guy for whom I've got a lot of regard, and Chris was lucky to work with Tom in the DA's office for a number of years. The third, I feel, blessing is the marriage that my two sons had to their lovely wives, Nicole and Cynthia. And then the fourth blessing was the result of those marriages is 3 great grandsons that Jude and I spent a little bit of time babysitting. And it's a lot of fun. I missed all the stuff. I was working in Manhattan and worked pretty long hours and missed all the development stuff you all see with kids as they grow up. Well, I'm catching up on it now with my 3 grandsons, Ryan, Owen, and Chase. We're 5, 2, and just a little over a year, and a real blessing in my life. And the fifth blessing came in January of 1993. My involvement with this program with then Lieutenant Himes, now Major Himes up in Utica with his wife Kathy. And it's been a blessing every week since then. For a whole bunch of reasons. Phil mentioned some of those with the stuff he and I have been able to work together in the immigrant community here in the area. But blessings for, I'd say, 3 particular reasons. One is the staff I've worked with, the officers, and others I've met, and people like Joan Kraus, the people in the Army that I've worked with. Starting with Kathy and Mike Himes back in the early 90s, from about 93 for about 10 years. They worked with the program with me, and I didn't really found the program. I saw the invitation, said I was the founder. I just found the program. Really, Mike had really had it going already. I found it, but he really got it. I got to give him the creds for, he really saw the need better than I and moved that program forward. I just sort of caught on shortly after it started. And then they were followed by the Garcias, Norman, Lois, and some of you folks know these people whose names I'm giving you. And then Judd and Lori Laidlaw were the Corps officers for a while. And then I've been blessed with Phil and Jody Lloyd, and they've been great partners. Every set of Corps officers has been great partners. And I'd like to also acknowledge a person who some of you who've been around the Army for a while, you'll know this name, Viola Newell, Major Viola Newell. She started the program with me. She was the person that really brought high-quality cooking to the meal processor. She left. She retired to Florida, and the Jim Waters version of high-quality cooking came in, which is what size 10 can we use this week? And those of you know, size 10, they're the commercial-sized cans. So I'd say for probably 10 or more years, the cuisine was ravioli, beef stew, or chili con carne, because that's what's available through the food pantry in size 10 cans. And I was blessed then, and this is just testimony to the diversity of how the Army is so, they welcome diversity, and I've experienced it. My skills in cooking are as equal to my skills in music. We saw a lot about the music program here. And God saw a need. And for the first 15 years of the program or so, who showed up on Saturday morning to help out? It was all in God's hands. It might be nobody. On some weeks, I would go out and just get guys on the street to help me with the program. And it was folks that came for reasons of helping the school. They had a school project they had to take out. Or maybe the court said for whatever offense you had, you've got to put some community service time in. Or there was folks sometimes that they just wanted to volunteer a bit. But the one thing, while it was all wonderful and I had great times, the one thing that I didn't have with those folks, as wonderful as they were, was persistency. So about 5 years ago, it just sort of happened. A person showed up, it was Yvonne Rodriguez, who I'm going to ask in a minute for folks to stand up here, who joined the team. And I've got some people I'd like to introduce. They're as shy as the members of the advisory board, so I would hope they'll have the same leadership skill and stand up when I ask them to. But I'd like to just acknowledge them because of how important they are in my life now. Here are 5, 6, 7 people who spend their Saturdays, almost every Saturday, with me on the truck. And so what we have now is a core of people who, if I get hit by the truck sometime, that there are people who can carry on the program because we've got people who've shown their dedication to this program. And this is sort of alphabetic as best I can do, but most of my team members, one was not able to be here, a person named Margaret Nicholson. I want to say her name so you hear that name, Margaret Nicholson. But others that are here are Brian Levy. He is here. And I'd like, when I said all your names, please stand so people can see you. I want you to stand, would you please? His wife, Reba, is here too. But Brian's been involved. He's a CIA-trained chef. He's brought his skills. He knows how to cook. We don't use 10 cans anymore. They keep me away from that. I have to his left is Alan and Stephanie Prezume, who belong. They bring a wonderful, wonderful sense to the program. Next to them is Michael Del Rosario. Michael is he's the operations guy now. I don't know what I do other than show up. I got folks that actually do the work. I don't do much work anymore. Sanjay and Tanya, George, who have also just been wonderful in the support of the program. Sanjay's got a technical background, so we've got a database we actually work with in terms of using, sort of planning for our meals and such. And then, as I said, Yvonne Rodriguez has done a great job. And not at that table, but here on my left is George Pajovis, another very skillful photographer in the community and another good cook. So we've got two people. If I get hit by that truck, we've got two people that don't have to go back to 10 cans. So we've got good cuisine, I'm sure, for the next several years. Thank you, ma'am. A little round of applause. And then the third blessing is the folks I see on the street. I mean, every week, and it's just interesting that our customers, the people that we serve, during the decade of the 90s, so just after 2001, that was mostly blacks and whites that lived, some on the street. But it was just interesting that it was almost all blacks and whites. We stopped about 5 or 6 stops on Route 59 and a couple other spots in Spring Valley. But after 2001, for whatever reason, 2002, things changed a bit. And it became mostly the jornaleros for Espanol, day laborers, the guys looking for jobs on Route 59. And for the last decade or so, and that's how I got involved in this sort of thinking about mostly the immigrant community here, and it's not just Spanish speakers. And it's a matter, and just as a matter of education, when you say Espanol, people think all the folks that are Spanish speakers are from Mexico. Not so. In Spring Valley, it's Ecuador, Salvador, and Guatemala. That's the primary Spanish-speaking population. And I've had just the privilege of being with them and what I've learned from them. And maybe one message I'd like to leave with you all is this is one earth. We have one God. We are one family. And the Army does so much good reaching out to all the brothers and sisters in that family. So one of the things I say oftentimes, and we stop at the International Food Market in Spring Valley, it's one of our stops, is with mi amigos español, mi hermanos y mi hermanas, my brothers and sisters. I'll sometimes say, I'll point to the sky, uno Dios, una gran familia, one God, one huge family. And I just leave that with you. The Army does every day. We work with all our brothers and sisters, and God bless all of you. I know everybody here is doing their own thing as I do my little thing. And I thank you for the support of the Army. And I know, not specific what you're all doing, but I know all you're doing your part. Just pay it forward, spread it out, because there's so much good that can be done by these little steps for all of us. I'm truly, truly honored, again, by the Army giving you this recognition and the program. It's as good as it is in part because we've got good folks helping support as well. So God bless all of you.